6, 32nd verse. Atmaupam yena sarvatra samam pashyati yo arjuna sukham va yadi va dukkham sa yogi paramo mata. He is a perfect yogi who, by comparison to his own self, sees the true equality of all beings in both their happiness and their distress, O Arjuna. One who is Krishna conscious, is a perfect yogi. He is aware of everyone's happiness and distress by dint of his own personal experience. The cause of the distress of living entity is forgetfulness of his relationship with God, and the cause of happiness is knowing Krishna to be the supreme enjoyer of all the activities of the human being, the proprietor of all lands and planets, and the sincerest friend of all living entities. The perfect yogi knows that the living being, who is conditioned by the modes of material nature, is subjected to the threefold material miseries due to forgetfulness of his relationship with Krishna. And because one in Krishna consciousness is happy, he tries to distribute the knowledge of Krishna everywhere. Since the perfect yogi tries to broadcast the importance of becoming Krishna conscious, he is the best philanthropist in the world, and he is the dearest servitor of the Lord. Nachatasman manusheshu kaschan me priya krittama. Bhagavad Gita 18.69. In other words, a devotee of the Lord always looks to the welfare of all living entities, and in this way he is factually the friend of everyone. He is the best yogi because he does not desire perfection in yoga for his personal benefit, but tries for others also. He does not envy his fellow living entities. Here is a contrast between a pure devotee of the Lord and a yogi interested only in his personal elevation. The yogi who is withdrawn to a secluded place in order to meditate perfectly may not be as perfect as a devotee who is trying his best to turn every man towards Krishna consciousness. So this is when we get perfection, a perfect yogi, and also a person who's following the process of perfect yoga. As we progress in this path also, we can steadily understand by comparing with our own self the how other people will also feel the same happiness and distress, right? That is why because we go through all these emotions, the more we go through, the more empathic we will be, happiness and distress. But we have to understand that everybody is just same. Everybody is made up of three modes of material nature. Their minds has different types of desires, but they also have material desires. And then because of that, they're suffering when they don't receive that enjoyment. And all this suffering, we can understand how this world is such a dangerous place, and we must be concerned about everyone. Why? Because we're all humankind. I mean, we're all the same. The more we connect with Krishna, the more we'll understand that everybody is also part of Krishna. And so Vasudeva Kutumbikam, right? We're all one family. That is the advantage of becoming a yogi. You see people as spirit souls rather than the body. If you see only the body, then you'll think, oh, the Chinese, they're so different. Africans, oh, they are a different race. And Americans, they are a different race. So this is how nobody thought of preaching to the whole world. In fact, there was a ban on going outside India, crossing the seas. That is in recent times. That was not true during Mahabharat times. We know that the whole world was under one king, and the king did travel to all the places. But over the years, because the spiritual consciousness came down, we didn't have the spiritual strength, first of all, to rule over others. So gradually, we became confined. And we started seeing, of course, India was always never aggrandizing power. We could have done, because India was very, very wealthy compared to other countries, much more evolved, developed. Well, so all this, every country wanted to come to India because they'd heard, oh, there's so much wealth. And we see the civilization also what it was, either from archaeological thing, but more than that, from historical records, we see how great our, India was. And so that is because of spiritual advancement. And then we can feel the same compassion. Just like we don't want to be oppressed by some, superpower who comes and crushes us and says, no, everything of yours belongs to me. You should do only what I say. It's horrible. So we will never do that to other people, right? It is because of understanding that they also are just people like us. And just like whatever I'm feeling, the same thing, they're also going through that experiences. That is called empathy. You understand everybody is the same. If you see the material differences, then people don't even understand that others also have same feelings like you. You're just not at all worried about what they're thinking. You're only thinking about myself, what I think, what is my interest, and everyone else is just kind of means, an instrument for my happiness. This is material consciousness. And as we progress spiritually, we'll understand that they're all same. And and who's this thing? He's a perfect yogi who, by comparison to his own self, sees the true equality of all beings in both their happiness and their distress, O Arjuna. So spiritually, we are all equal. So it doesn't mean that, oh, I don't care about these people, let them suffer. We don't do that because we know they're all ultimately souls. And that kind of understanding is what made Chaitanya Mahaprabhu predict that in the future, somebody will come who'll take it all around the world. And Prabhupada, at this old age, he set off alone. There were so many people who criticized him that, don't go. I mean, you'll lose your caste because you don't know what you won't be able to follow Sanatana Dharma properly. You may have to eat all kinds of things. But he was determined. Somehow Krishna will take care. So you see, that is the perfection of yoga, where he went alone. He didn't have any money. And he didn't even know. He didn't have a big following there. Nobody. Just one person who sponsored his ticket. That's all. And it's just, you can imagine what a great yogi he is, just depending on Krishna for everything. And so that is what. And most important, how do we know that he is the greatest yogi? Because he had so much compassion. He didn't see the body, not only of all the human beings in all over the world, but even to animals, insects, birds, everyone. Prabhupada was very, very compassionate. Before that, people thought that how can all these people take up Krishna consciousness? They saw them only in terms of their body. Look at their habits. Look at their lifestyle. Look at their consciousness. Now, how they can take up Krishna consciousness? Everybody thought it's impossible. They even tried. Some people went and tried and they said it's impossible. These people, they're rooted in sinful activities. You can never change them. And look at Prabhupada's vision. He saw them as souls who had just forgotten their relationship with Krishna. And so he went there and chanted for them. He spoke Bhagavad Gita. He made prasadam and served them. And he touched their hearts. He was like a grandfather figure for them. They were all young boys and girls. And there was nothing in common between them, age-wise or culture-wise. Language also, his accented English. Nothing was similar. But his love for them, for their soul, that made them glued to him. And they were ready to surrender everything. Whatever they had, it's okay. I'm a servant of Prabhupada. Just imagine, that is yogi. A yogi who's able to connect with everyone spiritually. Arjuna uvacha yoyam yogastvaya prokta samyena madhusudana etasyaham na pashyami chanchalatvat sthitam stiram. Arjuna said, Oh Madhusudana, the system of yoga which you have summarized, appears impractical and unendurable to me, for the mind is restless and unsteady. The system of mysticism described by Lord Krishna to Arjuna, beginning with the word Suchau Deshi and ending with Yogi Parama, is here being rejected by Arjuna out of a feeling of inability. It is not possible for an ordinary man to leave home and go to a secluded place in the mountains or jungles to practice yoga in this age of Kali. The present age is characterized by a bitter struggle for a life of short duration. People are not serious about self realization, even by simple practical means. And what to speak of this difficult yoga system, which regulates the mode of living, manner of sitting, selection of place, detachment of the mind from material engagements. As a practical man, Arjuna thought it was impossible to follow this system of yoga. Even though he was favorably endowed in many ways, he belonged to the royal family and was highly elevated in terms of numerous qualities. He was a great warrior, he had great longevity, and above all, he was the most intimate friend of Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. 5,000 years ago, Arjuna had much better facilities than we do now. Yet he refused to accept this system of yoga, that is the Ashtanga Yoga. In fact, we do not find any record in history of his practicing it at any time. Therefore, this system must be considered generally impossible in this age of Kali. Of course, it may be possible for some very few rare men, but for the people in general, it's an impossible proposal. If this were so 5,000 years ago, then what of the present day? Those who are imitating this yoga system in different so called schools and societies, although complacent, are certainly wasting their time. They're completely in ignorance of the desired goal. So that's why Prabhupada, in every purport, he's talking of Bhakti Yoga so that we don't get disturbed and bewildered. Because sometimes devotees ask, why is Krishna talking about going alone and finding one place in a holy place away from all people and sitting on, finding a seat and putting kusagras and mat and all this? Oh, I mean, here in devotional service, we are advised that have satsanga, be with devotees. Why? So that is why we can get confused. But Krishna was addressing all types of people. So this is for those. He also talked to those who prefer this kind of thing. That is in those times. People had the capacity to do it, and they're not ready to surrender. So he gave this as an option. But Prabhupada is constantly assuring us, don't worry, this is impossible for us. Do bhakti. So we shouldn't get bewildered. Oh, maybe I'm supposed to do that. Why? I can't do it. It's very good we can't do it because we'll be misled and we'll have to take many, many births before we can perfect this. On the other hand, because we are so helpless, Krishna has given us a very, very easy baby method. Okay, just chant. Sit. No need, no rules, regulations, nothing. Any time of the day, anywhere. Simply chant. Even if your pronunciation is not okay, that's also fine. Just that you can and understand, just hear the holy name. That's what, chant and hear. Very simple, he has made it. Because knowing our condition, so we shouldn't try to manufacture all difficult austerities. Oh, this is all very simple. Just chant and hear. I want to do more. I want to be a better yogi. You don't need to do all that. Why should we? When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu simplified it, he has come. He's the Yuga avatar. And we just need to take shelter of his lotus feet and chant. And he says, chant in a humble frame of mind. That's all. To get the taste in chanting, he said, chant in a humble frame of mind and giving all respect to others and expecting no respect for oneself. We try that. And then gradually, as we chant more and more, we will realize it's so wonderful. That mood is so nice too, because we are relating with Krishna in that mood of being very helpless and humble. And then you get Krishna You become the wealthiest person. There's nothing else you need. You feel very satisfied. You don't seek other things outside of your service to Krishna. There's nothing else. You feel complete and full. And so this is perfection in yoga. And because you get that greatest wealth, then you think, oh my God, look at others. They're struggling, running after some things which will never make them happy. And so if we feel sorry for everyone, they're also like me. It's not that I'm someone special and exclusive. So I'm meant to elevate in yoga and all these people are meant to suffer. No, if um, they're all part of Krishna and they're all meant to go back to God. That's what Krishna wants. So that's why that's far greater than anybody just renouncing everything and going to the forest. But Arjuna is saying, I cannot do that system of yoga. And he tells the reason also. So we need not feel bad, my mind is wandering too much. Arjuna himself is saying that Chanchalam hi mana Krishna pramati balavadridham tasyaham nigraham manye vayoriva sudushkaram. For the mind is restless, turbulent, obstinate, and very strong, O Krishna. And to subdue it, I think, is more difficult than controlling the wind. The mind is so strong and obstinate that it sometimes overcomes the intelligence, although the mind is supposed to be subservient to the intelligence. For a man in the practical world who has to fight so many opposing elements, it is certainly very difficult to control the mind. Artificially, one may establish a mental equilibrium towards both friend and enemy, but ultimately, no worldly man can do so. For this is more difficult than controlling the raging wind. In the Vedic literature, Katha Upanishad 1.3 to 4, it is said, Atmanam ratinam vidhi shariram rathamevacha buddhim tu saratim vidhi manaha pragraham evacha indriyani hayan ahur विषयांस्तेषु गोचरान् आत्मेन्द्रियमनो yuktam bhokteti ahurmanishinha. The individual is the passenger in the car of the material body, and the intelligence is the driver. Mind is the driving instrument, and the senses are the horses. The self is thus the enjoyer or sufferer in the association of the mind and senses. So it is understood by great thinkers. Intelligence is supposed to direct the mind, but the mind is so strong and obstinate that it often overcomes even one's own intelligence, as an acute infection may surpass the efficacy of the medicine. Such a strong mind is supposed to be controlled by the practice of yoga, but such practice is never practical for a worldly person like Arjuna. And what can we say of modern man? The simile used here is appropriate. One cannot capture the blowing wind, and it's even more difficult to capture the turbulent mind. The easiest way to control the mind, as suggested by Lord Chaitanya, is chanting Hare Krishna, the great mantra for deliverance in all humility. The method prescribed is Savai Manaha Krishna Padara Vindayu. One must engage one's mind fully in Krishna. Only then will there remain no other engagements to agitate the mind. Here, in a nutshell, he has put all our problems at solution in this verse. Because Arjuna is saying, Krishna, the mind is restless, yes, so restless. We can't even sit in one place. Like a child, if you tell the child, how long can a child sit in one place? It's always running around, looking for things, jumping around, very, very restless. That is how our mind is. All the time, it has to be thinking of different things, jumping from one thing to the next. Turbulent, full of some thoughts and emotions and something, experiences, blowing hot, blowing cold, and obstinate. Even if you tell, no, it doesn't matter, that's not important, forget about it. No, I want to think about it. It will keep on raising. No, address this. I'm very disturbed. It doesn't matter. It's not so important. No, it is important. So it's very, very obstinate. and very strong, right? It overcomes the mind. And to subdue it, I think, is more difficult than controlling the wind. And that's why people are not able to control their mind, and so they do all wicked things. They knew, I mean, you don't have to, later you'll see how Krishna says that, no, he's already said, you have to tolerate the thoughts which come like rivers into the ocean. Okay, and I think it was in the 3rd chapter that the thoughts and desires will keep coming into the mind, but the ocean, what does it do? It's always full. I mean, it doesn't, it contains all the rivers within. It doesn't overflow. So in the same way, whatever thoughts and desires keep coming to the mind, you don't have to act on it, right? So we have to use okay, these thoughts come and go, just throw it aside. It's not important. But without yoga, it's very difficult for a worldly person to be so, self-contained and not to be disturbed by opposing thoughts. Just a minute. It's very difficult for materialistic person to overcome the mind. Even the intelligence, even sometimes even intelligent people, normally they're very intelligent, but you see that they also succumb to some very, very shocked. How could this person do something like that? Because their mind came up with something due to past habit, past association, and then the intelligence was not strong enough to overcome the mind, and then they fall down. So that is why mind is so strong and obstinate. The easiest way is to control the mind, as suggested by Lord Chaitanya, is chanting Hare Krishna, the great mantra for deliverance in all humility. That the mantra is so powerful and great, and I am seeking shelter of that mantra. So then you have to approach very humbly, right? When you approach someone for something, some favor, then how do you approach them? If you go very, very in a lauding mood and say that I am equal to you, or I am even better than you, but I'm just asking you, that's it. You can give me if you want, or you don't want, it's okay. If you go like that, who will give you anything? When you're requesting some favor, you have to become very humble. Similarly, we are approaching the holy names for a great favor, to control our mind and advance and everything, solve all our problems. So we should approach the holy names in a very, very humble frame of mind. I'm very fallen. I'm not able to concentrate on the holy name. Nothing I'm able to do. Please, holy names, you only have to bestow your mercy upon me and uplift me. That's all. Whenever you approach someone for some favor, if you go in a very humble frame of mind, they will be very happy, right, to give whatever we ask for. At least, yeah, they will try to help. If they're not able to, then they may at least, give us alternatives, or at least give us some sweet words. But they will not drive us out or be indifferent to us. In the same way, we are this is the simplest method. And no matter, we don't need any qualifications. Even if we are the greatest of sinners, even if we have never done one pious activity also, we've never visited the temples, we've never thought about God, we were atheistic, whatever it may be, doesn't matter. The minute you start chanting Hare Krishna mantra and you keep listening, all those sins are washed off. And then you can also advance very nicely. Some of the great devotees in ISKCON are, have got a past. They say, I was an atheist and never believed in God, or very, very materialistic person. And they are so surprised. They asked, one of the devotees asked Prabhupada, Prabhupada, in the Shastras it says that someone who has done lot of pious activities, done given a lot of charity, and worship God, gone to all holy places, who's done everything. Finally, only such a person will be able to chant the holy names of God. How is it that I am able to chant names of Krishna? Because I don't remember doing any pious activity in my life. So then Prabhupada said, yes, I have created your good fortune. So even we have zero bank account, a spiritual bank account, we are zero, no this thing at all, account. Still, by the mercy of the pure devotee, he can raise us so that our bank account keeps increasing. He engages us in chanting Krishna's names, and then automatically, that is the thing. Ability to chant depends upon mercy, not on qualification at all in this age. So that is why we should become very humble. Not that I'm very qualified. I must have done great things in my past life. That's why I'm very elevated. So I'm able to chant. Oh, no, who can be like me? No, hardly nobody is chanting. I'm very special, so I'm chanting. No, it is because I got somehow, fortunately, some mercy by which I'm able to chant. That will also keep us humble. And in that humble state of mind, if you chant, very progressively you'll see how the mind is exerting less and less control over us. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Asamshayam Mahabahu Mano Durnigraham Chalam Abhyasena tu Kaunteya Vairagyena Chagrihyate. So Krishna is giving the solution for this. Lord Sri Krishna said, O mighty armed son of Kunti, it is undoubtedly very difficult to curb the restless mind, but it's possible by suitable practice and by detachment. So he's calling him mighty armed. He is very strong and powerful, but he himself is not able to control the mind. That's why he is, very little jokingly, he's saying, mighty armed Arjuna, you're not able to control the mind. Yes, it is true. It's very difficult. Krishna himself admits, but it is possible by suitable practice and by detachment. Support. The difficulty of controlling the obstinate mind, as expressed by Arjuna, is accepted by the personality of Godhead. But at the same time, he suggests that by practice and detachment, it's possible. What is that practice? In that present age, no one can observe the strict rules and regulations of placing oneself in a sacred place, focusing the mind on the super soul, restraining the senses and mind, observing celibacy, remaining alone, etc. By the practice of Krishna consciousness, however, one engages in 9 types of devotional service to the Lord. The first and foremost of such devotional engagements is hearing about Krishna. This is a very powerful transcendental method for purging the mind of all misgivings. The more one hears about Krishna, the more one becomes enlightened and detached from everything that draws the mind away from Krishna. By detaching the mind from activities not devoted to the Lord, one can very easily learn Vairagya. Vairagya means detachment from matter and engagement of the mind and spirit. Impersonal spiritual detachment is more difficult than attaching the mind to the activities of Krishna. This is practical because by hearing about Krishna, one becomes automatically attached to the Supreme Spirit. This attachment is called Pareshanubhava, spiritual satisfaction. It is just like the feeling of satisfaction a hungry man has for every morsel of food he eats. The more one eats while hungry, the more one feels satisfaction and strength. Similarly, by discharge of devotional service, one feels transcendental satisfaction as the mind becomes detached from material objectives. It is something like curing a disease by expert treatment and appropriate diet. Hearing of the transcendental activities of the Lord is therefore expert treatment for the mad mind, and eating the foodstuff offered to Krishna is the appropriate diet for the suffering patient. This treatment is the process of Krishna consciousness. See how simple he has made it. Ashtanga Yoga seems so difficult. And if we just heard about that without the purports, we will think, oh, it's impossible. How I can ever hope to become a yogi or something like that, or advance in spiritual life. Impossible. Actually, when Parikshit Maharaj, he was told that in 1 week's time he is going to die, leave his body. So then he went to the Ganga, banks of the Ganga, and he thought that I will sit and meditate. And all the sages from all over the world and even from heavenly planets, they came there because he was a pure devotee. And the Paramatma inspired everyone to come there. And so before Sukadeva Goswami came, they were all assembled there. And Parikshit Maharaj asked each one of them, please tell me, I have only 1 week's time to live. So he asked the yogis, what do I do? Can you teach me Ashtanga Yoga? Ashtanga Yoga in 1 week? Are you joking? It takes years to perfect Ashtanga Yoga. Now, we can't, help you for in 1 week's time. Then he asked Gyanis, impersonalists, can you please help me? How will I, because leave my body and make my life successful in 1 week's time? They said that there are so many scriptures to study. How can we teach all that in 1 week's time? Impossible. Sorry, we can't do anything. So that is when this, and of course, Karma Kanda people, even to go to heavenly planets and all that takes a long time, to do all those things. You have to get so many things. And anyway, Parikshit Maharaj wanted to go back to Godhead, not to the heavenly planets. So at that time, Sukadeva Goswami came. A young boy, is just 16-year-old, maybe a little more. He was born when he was 16 years old. And he was wandering around and so on. So maybe a little more than 16, but anyway, young boy, fully naked. And he came there and very effulgent. And then Parikshit Maharaj asked him, can you please tell me how in 1 week's time I can make my life successful? Sukadeva Goswami said, 1 week is a lot of time. You can definitely go back to Godhead in 1 week's time. And he recited Srimad Bhagavatam. So just by Shravanam, Parikshit Maharaja made his life successful. He was just hearing non-stop only Srimad Bhagavatam. And Sukadeva Goswami was engaged in Kirtanam. So Shravanam and Kirtanam, they are the best, they are the most examples of how Shravanam and Kirtanam is so powerful. And then, of course, other processes, 9 processes are there. But even just hearing and chanting and listening can give you all perfection. That is how powerful this Bhakti Yoga is. And we're very fortunate that we've got this prescribed by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And by just worshipping him, then, we get higher taste. That is why we should worship Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because by his mercy, we feel some bliss. Even we're chanting with a lot of offenses. But when you say Nitai Gaur, everybody jumps ecstatically, isn't it? That's because they don't take any offenses. And when we chant their names, we feel some ecstasy. Then we like Hare Krishna mantra. I like to chant, especially Kirtan. Everybody likes, even those who are maybe very new and they're not following anything. They're not regulated or anything, but still they are feeling so much ecstasy. It's because of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Gauranitai. We chant his names, Panchatattva mantra. And then we get some higher taste. And then, I like chanting Hare Krishna. Japa marathon, all new people come and chant for hours. This time the Japa marathon was very, very successful because totally new people also came. Whole day they were sitting from morning. Okay, some of them came by 8, mostly they came by 10, but till 6 o'clock they were there and non-stop just sitting sitting in one place and chanting. It's really amazing. Youngsters and little older people also. How did they get that, how did they get that ability to do that? It's only because of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy. You get a taste. And because of chanting together, then the mind is also controlled. So everybody, they were all chanting many, many rounds, more than 64, 108, like that. So that's the power of the Hare Krishna mantra. And we should really take all steps to utilize this. Don't take it cheaply. Oh, it's a simple process. It's nothing. I should do something more complicated. No need. The goal of everything is to reach Krishna. And Krishna can be attained very easily. Once you have Krishna, you have everything. So don't get misled by the mind, which may say, I'm not satisfied. I need something else more here, there. We keep wandering. I'll listen to those people also, these people also. Very nice. I can learn so many things from everywhere. Then you will be totally confused. So first, we need to become very strong in yoga, be established in our connection with Krishna. Then you can start reading in the parampara. There are so many books written by our previous acharyas. But first, we should know Prabhupada's books thoroughly. Prabhupada said, first read only my books. Then you'll be very strong in the philosophy and you chant very nicely. You'll become very strong. Your mind is controlled. Then you can read more books in our parampara, not, some people think I will jump and become perfect fast. That person, what he's saying, he said he will give my original form, what I have in the spiritual world. Let me go there. The temptation may be there, but no, Prabhupada has given us everything. We don't need to jump and go somewhere else seeking some other higher things. Okay. Thank you very much, Hare Krishna. Any questions or comments? Hare Krishna Mata, then how can we be more